Hello, VOD viewers. Coming in live. I do the little startup screen, but the reality is I just sit here and I do nothing. I just wait 5 minutes. And I thought, why not? Why not bring you guys in to the setup period? Oh, I'm now realizing I'm woefully unprepared. Oh, okay. Wow, we even got Krita. Wait, is that my OBS you can see in that? Why is it doing that? Whoa. Capture method. There we go. And now we want it below my face. I'm there. Nice. Okay. What are we at? 3 o'clock now. 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on the 22nd of August, 2023. 3 o'clock. And let me just see. Got to do a couple. Oh, do we have? Oh, we do. Brew some tea and join Louis Durant for a cozy art stream. That's me. That's now. Okay, 3 p.m. BST. I think it is BST. So I've got to do my own tweet. Do you think in generations the word tweet will it'll just have vanished? And we'll be telling our great-great-great-grandchildren, because hopefully our brains will be preserved for generations to come. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. And I'll tell them what a tweet was. And they'll say, don't you mean post? You're talking about a post, Grandad. No, mate, no. Not a post. Because I think even Mastodon, it was Toots, wasn't it? Have they got? Oh, it's a publish button now. Oh, but it is still called Toast. Would that kind of work? Would that work if you had a website and instead of posts you had toasts? And everything you do is like in honor of someone. Toast. Does Toast.io exist? Toasts.io. Oh, it's parked. I remember something was parked. Maybe it was carrotcakestudios.com way back in the day. And I remember getting in touch with them, and I must have been about 10 years old at the time. And inquiring how much it would cost to unpark the domain, and it was like 800 quid, which to a 10-year-old is a lot of car washes. I think I only did the car wash thing maybe twice. maybe twice. The old you know, car wash for maybe £2. You get £2 for a car wash. Meantime, it is encouraging to think take gifts on my page. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. So yeah, I think we're gonna do some. Oh, I can get the music started. Gonna do some like garden furniture and stuff, because I've still got a few I need to work on. A few that I think are a bit old, could do with some shaping up, some touching up, things like that. These are a couple of kettles I've been working on recently, just in some spare time. It's quite nice doing the streams because I get to do. I don't usually do artwork, not too much of it anyway. Midweek, maybe an hour or two. But I'm getting to the point where I think there's a bit more time for some artwork. See if I can remember. Rewards, Garden Path soundtrack. Oh no, I think I need to. I've actually imported the new soundtrack into the game now, which is kind of cool. It's in the latest version. Sound, music, here we go. And the way the game picks music is a little bit more clever. A little bit less. It's not that clever, but it used to. Sometimes it would play two songs at the same time, and it doesn't do that now, which is good. Always good. Playlists. Every time I open up Windows Media Player, I've got no idea how it works. I've just always completely forget. It's just not not intuitive at all, as far as I can tell. New playlist. Can I not? How do I? Play queue. Can I drag things into that? And then we'll get the show on the road. There we go. And I think the last time I did a solo stream. Oh no. I think I'm okay. That's really loud, isn't it? Let me just drop it down. I think. Hang on. There we go. Okay. The last time I did a solo stream, I think the music was like oppressively loud. So I'm gonna, sorry, it might have been just then. I realised I actually wasn't hearing what you guys were hearing. So I hope there wasn't any mysterious videos playing in the background. But I think I'm okay. Okay. So I think I'm probably going to do a bookshelf. I think that's the first thing that occurred to me that I haven't done in a while. Because I think there's some old trailers. Where there is the old bookshelf, and it could definitely use a refresh. I think the perspective's all off. And I feel like I've drawn a lot of bookshelves in my life. It's the kind of thing that I think it's like an absolute classic background filler item, although I usually regret adding it because there's so many little objects and various paraphernalia that you end up realizing you have to draw as well. But you get a little bit better over time at just drawing various books. I had to draw a library one time, and I think the easiest way to get around that is to kind of just have alternating colours. Otherwise you drive yourself crazy. And I feel like you go into those old libraries and the books tend to be green, don't they, for some reason? Or at least not particularly, varied colours and sizes. I think you think of like an old classic library. Right, and it tends to be kind of all sorts of various green books with maybe like gold letter. I'm just imagining these things. Maybe no library is actually like that. Maybe. But yeah, sorry, there was no stream. It's been a while actually, isn't it? It's been a while. How long has it been? I'm not sure. About 4 weeks, I think, because I got back. I was away. I was having my little, summer break, and the plan was to get back into streaming, but I think I must have caught a cold from an unknown source. These things happen, and I was pretty. It was one of those colds where. I wasn't keeling over. I was I could work. It wasn't ideal, but I could work. Oh, hi Valiant Cheese, how's it going? Thanks for dropping in. And yeah, 2 weeks ago, and I just had, but my throat was, my voice was totally gone. I just couldn't. I could talk, but it was barely audible. And so I thought, it's just not, it just wouldn't be an entertaining stream. I probably could have done it, but I think it was probably in my interests to just take it a little bit easier. So that was the reason for no stream 2 weeks ago. And then and it's just me this week because Fern hasn't been well. But word on the grapevine is Fern is on the mend and getting better, resting up, and so I'm sure we'll see Fern in 2 weeks' time. Who knows? Fingers crossed. But we'll all send good vibes. Oh, sorry, that was my break reminder. I usually turn that off. It does a little ding when the time is up. But yes, good vibes, and a solid recovery for Fern. Who I was helping get Baldur's Gate 3 running on their TV, and it sounded like it was successful. So I think, and that's probably a good time to. I mean, there's no good time to be ill, but always good. You know, Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't got it yet actually, but I've heard it's the kind of game you can sink many hours into. So, and I'm glad we got it up and running. So that's my email too. I need to shut these things down. Sounds rough. Yeah, I think, you know, and like I said, I think the worst of it. The worst of it is all gone and done. I do the same every time I turn on my break reminder. A few days later, I stream. And then to remind, sorry, I'm absolutely hacking this. Then only remember to turn it back on months later. Oh right, do not turn your computer. I mean, mine. I have this like, if I forget to have turned my computer off or done a reboot, like I've just slept my computer or something, and I wake up the next day, I always just reboot my computer. I don't know why. I just always feel like, I don't know. It's just better to have that fresh start. There's probably no. And if anything, I think computers like being on all the time. I could be wrong, but it's just something I do out of habit. So it's usually back up when it's back up when I start a new day. But there are days where I forget to reboot. But I do the 2020 thing where you look out the window for 20 seconds every 20 minutes. To be honest, I should probably have it on while I stream, because I can definitely feel it when I haven't been doing it, you know. And I've made it. It's been a habit of mine for, gosh, I probably started doing it in 2018, so 5 years maybe. Because my eyes, I went to the opticians and my eyes hadn't gotten worse, and I had this theory that maybe it was like a, you know, whatever distance is between my eyes and the screen, they've probably glued to that, whatever distance. And so as long as I kept training that that distance, my eyes, in theory, hopefully don't get any worse. But I don't know. Sorry, more notifications. Let me close these things down. Yeah, but I went to the opticians about a year ago now, and I think one of my eyes had just caught up with the other, because I think one was slightly worse. I don't know if anyone's ever checking in on what glasses, if I've got new specs or not. I've had these about a year now. I think it was the first time they really were, or I think I didn't have the option to not pay for the thick lenses. Maybe it's just because it was a different place. They were like, no, you need the lens thinning technology. So, you know, what can you do? But I think the 2020 thing is more about it's more about fatigue than, I don't know, actually, I'm not sure. More about fatigue than actually your eyes' vision. I'm not sure. I just heard it was a good thing to do. And yeah, I use it. It's called Stretchly, which yeah, I mean, you can just set. It's one of those classic. You do mini breaks, mini breaks and long breaks, and then a long break is determined by how many mini breaks. And my mini break is 20 seconds just to look out the window, and then I do a long break about every hour, just for 5 minutes to get up and move around a bit. Sometimes make a cup of tea if there's time. You know, the classic. And again, I think you can really feel it if you've not been taking a break once every hour. You notice. So I think it's good to have these reminders. There's the Pomodoro technique. I don't know if anybody's ever tried that. I think Rachel's given it a go once or twice. But I just don't know if I work well with the super hard focus. I don't know if I can force myself to do that. I think I get more work done where I'm like, I'm working, but I'm able to also listen to a podcast and sort of not hyper focus, and I can kind of, and I will do the hyper focus thing if there's something really important. I can, sometimes you go hours without realizing. My understanding is a bit vague, but I think that focusing on different distances flexes part of your eyes that tend to go hard as you get older. Oh, there you go. So maybe it's like a, I'm not going to say anti-aging thing, or a preservation. A preservation thing. But so maybe I won't benefit from it now, but I'll benefit from later, I think is what I'm trying to say. And hi, Asta. And that used to be Lilith Fox, that's right. I like Asta Tails. I remember you were saying you weren't sure what to go for, but I think Asta Tails is cute. I like that. I was like, the other day, I was like, what did Asta go for? I was just curious. And I think maybe you changed it when I was away. I use a Pomodoro timer as my break timer, but I'm the same. Keep it flexible and do what feels comfortable. I feel like it just pushes me, and I feel like I'm a decently hard worker. But it's hard to say. I don't know. Everyone thinks they're hardworking. I think they do. I find this is like an easy way to navigate through life, is always assume everyone thinks they're the hardest working person, and they may well be, but I just think that tends to map on quite well. But I think hard work is such a relative thing, isn't it? And I think it's wrong so many people like to posture about how hard they work in a day. But it really is relative. My point being, if I do have a podcast on and I'm fixing bugs, and you just kind of get on with it, there's kind of work. There's work like that, and there's work where you really have to. Maybe you do need to focus, Sometimes I turn my music off and I don't realise I've had it off for hours. I tried a Pomodoro timer and it kept skipping because it was breaking my flow, and I knew I'd forget what I was doing when I came back from a break. Oh, and I knew I'd forget what I was doing when I came back from a break. Yeah, I just think everyone must be different. I mean, some people swear by it. Pomodoro. It means tomato, doesn't it? I think. Or did I make that up? I had this realization the other day. Tomato in Italian. Okay, cool. I had this realization the other day that Italians have only had tomatoes for a few hundred years. Is it 400 years? 500? Comes from the fact that the person who popularized it used a kitchen timer. Oh, I did read that. I do remember that now, actually. Yeah. I just know that there's apps that apps for it that are have tomato, tomato-y icons and stuff. That's funny. I wonder why we call it a tomato and they say Pomodoro. I would have thought it would be similar. I'm not sure why. I suppose it's not. Oh, I don't know. Would it be Latin? I mean, the whole of Rome, they didn't have tomatoes. Is that right? The whole of the Roman Empire. That just seems. It just seems wild. I'm guessing they had pasta because wasn't what's it called? Oh, I've gone totally blank. The pasta dish with with egg yolks and Parmesan cheese and prosciutto. Is it prosciutto? No, I always get that bread mixed up with the meat. People do it with bacon. Oh, I've totally forgotten what it's called. Wait until you realise potatoes are also native to South America, an association between island potatoes. Yeah, no, for sure. That was a. I feel like I had a similar thing, but a little bit before. They only had Caesar salad. Is there no Augustus salad? What other emperors were? Wait, was Augustus a? Constantinople fell 40 years before Columbus's expedition. Oh wow! That's crazy that it was so close. Although I don't know how. Was Italy part of the Roman Empire when Constantinople fell? Is that a crazy thing to say? I was looking into this the other day. I was on the because we were singing that song Istanbul's Constantinople, and I was just curious why they changed the name. I ended up going down a Wikipedia rabbit hole on the name of Istanbul. It's not quite as it's gone back and forth, I think, between. I always thought maybe one was Christian and the other one was Muslim, but I think it's more complicated than that. I can't remember for the life of me. I was curious about the etymology of the word Australia as well the other day, and I think there's this really interesting. I might have talked about this on stream before, but they basically had no idea. They assumed that everything below the equator, there was probably the similar amount of landmass above the equator as there was below the equator, but they just didn't have the means to get there. And it was called the Australius theory or something, that there was this land that they had called Australia, and there was equal amounts of landmass, or that they theorized there would be just a similar amount as Africa and Europe, and they thought there was this huge continent. And then they went down and it was just like Australia and New Zealand, and they were like, oh. To be fair, maybe we did talk about this because we were talking about just how big Australia actually is, and it is a big place, isn't it? But yeah, not quite as much as they thought. Is it actually bigger than... That's mad. It's bigger than continental United States. Wait, no. What's the definition of continental US? Is that not including Hawaii? I don't know. Minus Alaska. Okay. The bits that are attached. Alaska's pretty big. It is. I'd love to go to Alaska. Or at least, it doesn't need to be Alaska, but like that. I could do similar parts of Canada. Maybe. But I want to do all the I guess the only thing is bears. Bears are kind of, bears freak me out. Just the fact that they exist. Byzantium is usually seen these days as a name made up by post-Renaissance historians to distinguish the continuity of the Eastern Roman Empire after the fall of Rome in 473. And Byzantium was the name of the empire. Is that right? I live down in Tasmania. There's nothing west of here before South America. Makes for some significant winds. I never thought of that. Does it really? It just picks up. No trees, it just keeps going. Good day, good day. I paused Baldur's Gate 3 to say hi. Have I ranted about this before? I feel like I would love everything about Baldur's Gate 3 except I'm not a turn-based combat person. I just can't do the turn-based combat. I love the old school Baldur's Gate stop and start, which I know some people hate, but Byzantine has more cool letters. was the name of a small town whose location was picked for the creation of the city of Constantinople. Okay, interesting. But it's got a cool, like, I mean, Istanbul is just a fascinating city because it really was like, I just reading about it, I got the sense that it really was this just hub. It just really was like humanity's city. Maybe post Rome, I'm not sure, but I just, you know, and I don't even think it had a name. I think this is why I was saying it was complicated. Like people would just, because I think, does Istanbul means the people's town or something, or maybe Constantinople means? I think Istanbul means people's town, or I can't remember. It meant something like that, something colloquial, because people, you know, just didn't had so many different names depending on where you were from and how you referred to it, which I'm sure is the case for a lot of cities, but I don't know. I just got that sense that it was that real kind of connection between Europe and Asia. How are you finding Baldur's Gate 3, Ben? Does this need more shelves? You start adding more shelves and you realise how out of whack your perspective was. I know putting a bookshelf in a garden is a bit odd, but I kind of like the idea of it. And should it be big enough to go in a tent? I feel like a bookshelf in a garden is cooler than a bookshelf in a tent. Constantinople is Constantine's city. That's right, okay. Which I remember learning in, I think Civ 4 had... Oh, I can't remember now. I used to play as the Holy Romans in that a lot. And I didn't know what it was at the time. Wait, is that right? Am I getting that mixed up with things? I learnt modern history in school. Who was the... Hang on. What was this? Holy Roman Civ 4. You could play as... Oh, Charlemagne. I'm a ditz. I know it's like not a big deal, but I always thought it was weird, like in Civ. I kind of didn't mind how, like, in the later years, you'd have, like, Cleopatra and things. You know, Gandhi with the space tech and whatnot. But it always kind of... I never liked, like, picking Churchill and then you'd have, like, cavemen walking around under Churchill's rule. I always thought that was a bit weird. The other way around, I could kind of suspend my disbelief, but... Holy Roman Empire is neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. Charlemagne was crowned first emperor in 800. Was it a German thing? Central Europe, Netherlands to Hungary. That's right, with the two eagles. Okay. Which... Is that Albania? Albania's flag is still the two eagles? Yeah. Really a Frankish thing. Okay. I kind of always assumed it had some connection to Rome. Like at least something. Cool. We're learning a lot. What did I do at school? I did, at least meaningfully, I did like the League of Nations. I feel like I did it interwar. Is this common to do like between the wars? Which I always thought was a bit odd because maybe they just assume you're going to learn about the wars otherwise. But I learnt about pre-World War One, post-World War One, between World War One and World War Two, and then post-World War Two. And that was kind of everything I learnt, actually. Oh, and maybe this counted, but I did like the general strike and everything. I suppose that was still. But I never did the actual wars. That's a lie. I briefly did World War One trenches, trench warfare and whatnot. But they are interesting periods, and I think they're probably more useful, maybe more useful than learning about the war, because you get a feel for like the politics, and I feel like you can kind of spot patterns. Of sort of the feeling of, political movements and whatnot. Quote attributed to Voltaire, the Lord Privy Seal, who is neither a lord, a seal, or even a privy. He could have at least been a seal, come on. Reminder for everyone to watch the How to Identify a Seal video on YouTube, if you haven't seen it already. I'm wondering, maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I need like, it's too Billy Bookshelf at the moment. I don't know if there's any, I could do like big chunky, because I'm kind of trying to make them a bit too straight, but I'm wondering if I should do like a, almost like someone made it out of planks of wood. That would be more fun, I think. How would I do that, though? How would the... Oh, I just realised they've got, like, such a small view of the... of the actual art. Sorry about that. How's that? Not bad, eh? Bit better. So can you see that? I do maybe something like this. You couldn't put your books on something like that, though, could you? Then you need a back, I think. I was going to say, what did people keep their books in the olden days, but they probably couldn't read. Probably not too many a Viking bookshelf. Yeah, what were they doing with all their books before the printing press? That's a thought. Do you know, there was a stream where we were talking about... What were we talking about? Like carpets and how the vacuum cleaner existed before carpets or something. I can't remember. There was something like that, wasn't there? Chained libraries. I think I want to give it little feet. Oh, I just saw one with feet. Doesn't matter. I'm just getting flashbacks to the old bookshelf that I drew. Just as I spent ages fixing the perspective. Do I just want... Hang on. Let me go back to... see if there's a top. Kind of something like this. Oh no, maybe a flat top. I'm gonna go flat top. And then give it little feet. Feet sounds very sensible. Do you think? I'm wondering if maybe full contact would be more sensible. I'm not sure. I'm kind of envisioning, like, I want a part of the vibe to be like, you know, furniture people kind of leave outside their houses, kind of thing. But I'm probably not going to do mattresses, but you know, certain things. Oh, sorry. I was drawing the feet and you couldn't even see. I'd want stuff off on the damp. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. That's a good point. Makes a good point, does cheese. I live in the wettest part of Australia. Oh, really? My feline vomiter timer. Actually need to, we bought a load of quite nice wooden furniture it was from IKEA, but you know, we got the solid, I think outdoor furniture kind of has to be solid wood. I don't know if you'd get away with MDF stuff, but kind of got away with leaving it out in the winter last year because it was quite not too cold or wet, but, or at least the winter before, I can't remember, but yeah, I think, I don't know, like my parents have a bench that they've just left outside since I can remember, and they basically just slap some linseed oil on it every so often, and I mean it functions. I don't think anyone sits on it. I mean, it's become like it's so dark and aged, and I feel like there's like I don't know, I'm trying to think what it looks like. It almost looks like charcoal. But they like every year, well not every year, but maybe like 5 years they put some more linseed on it and it just sort of becomes shiny dark. But it's always been like that from what I can remember. I do have memories as a child of my dad varnishing it, wondering what he was doing. My family had an outdoor setting. My dog ate it over a couple of years. I like to gnaw on wood. I'm always terrified of insects eating my roof. Because how would I know? And when we moved into the house, there was loads of woodworm spray that we found in the shed, and I've just got no idea what it could have been for. There is this classic, because sometimes people do it on purpose, don't they? They on like old wooden beams, they'll do little holes, because it's sort of, you know, to make it look like there's been woodworm. And there's sort of classic signs of woodworm in the old floors, which I don't know if they're original, the floors. They could be. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were there from the owners even before then. Maybe there's woodworms. Maybe my house is about to fall in on itself. Before I even know it. Eating the foundations. Oh, I should have put these on a different layer. But yeah, I don't know anything about woodworm really. I've heard they go for younger wood as opposed to older wood. In my brief research. We're getting there. I'm going to take a step back and decide the perspective's completely off. It's not too bad, actually. It's not too bad. I'm excited to detail this. I like the idea of maybe, yeah, having this flat so you could put things on it. It's my theory, at least. And then, yeah, I need to start putting things on the shelf. What one might put on a bookshelf? Maybe books wouldn't be practical. Good old gardening gear or something. Don't know. Bird nests, that'd be cute. Some moss on it, maybe. We'll rough it up a little bit. Old forgotten birds' nests. if forgotten is the right word. I do want it to feel a little bit more planky. Retired maybe, yeah. Anyone see that video of that? Was it an owl? Where the mum... I feel kind of suspicious. It was one of those... did you ever see them? Not like the dodo, but it was one of these like... you know... over anthropomorphizing animals type things, but it was quite good. There was this supposedly the mum owl, I think it was an owl, had left the nest, and then the dad came back and was like, oh, and he had to, you know, it wasn't in his nature to look after the birds, but felt the need to, and it was this kind of time lapse, or you know, of this dad owl, because of course it kind of, you know, it works because we can all imagine the human version of that, can't we? Like it's a bit of a sitcom, but it was interesting how the dad was kind of, I think because that's right, because the dad was going off and catching mice, and the little baby owls couldn't eat a mouse, and the dad was just looked visibly, you know, I said, I guess it's a bit like you know, sorry, it sounds like I'm choking up. I'm not. It sounds like, I don't know, like in a sitcom, the dad cooks a steak for the baby, and he's like, oh, why won't this baby eat my cream and peppercorn steak? I don't know, there's a movie in it somewhere. I feel like there should be a word just for these videos where do you ever click on them and they're clearly for like Facebook feeds where there's no voiceover, but like the words come up over the video and they're like a minute long. I don't know, like each little section is like 10 words max, 2 sentences maybe. It's probably an art form. Videos that make you want to keep watching even if you've got, you know, even if you've got your device on mute and you're just scrolling through the feed. And it usually ends with some stock footage of scientists in a lab. Scientists think in 10 years' time could well change how we do. That kind of thing. Just without the voiceover. I'm not sure about that one. want this to feel less. I'll shade these and then I'll go from there. Didn't hear back from Ben about Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know what Ben thinks about Baldur's Gate 3. Not played at Baldur's Gate. You said the combat had changed to something turn-based. Is it XCOM? It is. It's just XCOM now, and it's disgusting. No, I think. Well, the gist is, I think, like the old CRPGs used to, you know, you would stop the game with the space bar. You would issue all the commands. Is it XCOM like? Yeah, I think that's probably a reasonable comparison. Yeah, so all of the CRPGs of old, you'd stop and start and you would issue commands and things, but everything would sort of, you could slow the time down, you could speed it up, but you know, everything happened at the same time. There's a word for that that I've forgotten. And then I think because Divinity Original Sin 2 did so well, I think that's the one. Partly because everyone liked the turn-based combat so much, I think. And they're the ones who made the new Baldur's Gate, I believe. Is that right? Was it Darien Studios? Let's just check quick. Simultaneous, there you go, yeah. Baldur's Gate 3. But you know, if it gets more people into RPGs, then I just lied about my age on stream. Larian Studios. Did I say Darien? Anyway. Yeah. I think Betrayal at Condor was the first RPG I really got into that has XCOM type combat. Did you ever play Dragon Age? That was old school type combat. And I like Dragon Age. Betrayal at Condor is from the early 90s. Gotcha. I'm going to have played a bit of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, but a little bit before my time. Haven't played Dragon Age before. Relatively, yeah. I think 2009. Like, it feels recent. It definitely, you know, it was it was on consoles, which I guess kind of makes it non-classic, I guess, if I can use that term. Anything after Descent 3? When was that? $19.99. Well, there you go. That's a clear. I do still feel like to me, like Super Mario Sunshine, for instance, feels very like you probably don't need to do much to that to make it playable. And that was 2001. when I say 20 years ago, I usually mean the beginning of the 80s. Yeah, sure. But then, like, Morrowind, when you compare, like, Morrowind as, like, is that 2003? Oh, 2002, okay. I was going to say, that isn't that. This looks more like Morrowind. Compare that to, when was Super Mario Sunshine? So 2002? 2002, so a year later. When Morrowind came out, I wasn't really old enough to follow it, but were the graphics seen as bad? Like, I don't know, what other games came out in 2001? It's about on par, I'd say. It was definitely a stiff game, wasn't it, Morrowind? If not... Yeah, 2002 feels like, yeah, you got like Ratchet and Clank. I love Morrowind's graphics. I really wish there was like a renaissance of that. I love like low polygons and textures where you can actually see the pixels. I feel like too often we do like, yeah, like this, where they've kind of mushed the pixels together, they kind of blurred them to sort of create the illusion that it's a higher res than it is. I like it when you can still see the, you know, where it's been nearest neighbour interpolated or whatever. I do wish there was a. The thing I love about Morrowind is the vibe. I mean, like you say, yeah, weathered people in place. It just has that kind of like sad, but mysterious, but not too mysterious. I find with those kind of things, you can usually look at the team and you can actually sort of pinpoint the direct. You know, there's one kind of artist or director that kind of really steered it in that direction. Yeah, Morrowind feels alien. I think that's it. Just like riding around on giant insects around big mushrooms and stuff. It's just cool. And I kind of wish more fantasy had that imaginative element. It wasn't just like your classic giant lobotomized insects. Even Tolkien's worlds, I think, can be quite alien, but I think people have sort of since taken that and it's kind of slowly over time we've got this kind of more clear idea as to what we expect from fantasy, don't we? And there are just more opportunities, I think, to have fun with it. When Oblivion came out, it was made by people who were very excited by Lord of the Rings film. Do you think? I mean, Oblivion was... I'm a bit younger than you, Cheese. Oblivion was like my game. That was like... the thing I absolutely poured hours into as like a young lad. I do kind of miss... The thing I miss about... I also miss about Morrowind. I do miss just like the lush green, pastoral. Like, even though it was all a few thousand hours. Okay, I never got that. I never did. Never went quite to thousands. I enjoyed existing in Morrowind. I feel like I appreciate Morrowind from a distance more, but I think ultimately took 2 weeks off work when Oblivion released. Sorry, that was Cheese said that. I was a wee lad. In fact, I played Fallout 3 first, so I was probably into Oblivion 2009 is probably when I was playing it. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I remember having this realization, because I really enjoyed Fallout 3, and then there was this like realization that there was this fantasy elves and dungeons version of Fallout 3, and I remember just being so excited, and I definitely spent more time in Morrowind, in Oblivion. It is less interesting. It's less interesting, but I think there is still a vibe to it. I think my ideal Elder Scrolls game lies somewhere between Daggerfall and Morrowind. How would you define? I don't know much about Daggerfall, honestly. I know that it's like the map is bigger than the United Kingdom or something like that, but I don't know much about the vibe. Is it just like people rolling around in mud? It's like really, I associate it as being like kind of really campy old school. Maybe that's more arena kind of vibe. Daggerfall tries to make a world with varying levels of success. Oh, tries to make a world. It feels like a place where you can ignore the main quest and set up a life for yourself. Okay. It is interesting, isn't it, how like we must have lost so much in that kind of 2002, or a bit like you're saying that post Descent 3 era. Because you had all these games that there were just so many more possibilities because the graphics, there was less effort put into the visuals. And it feels like we're kind of clawing that back through, overworking devs. But I don't know, I feel like there should be more games where we kind of leave more to the imagination. Yeah. And I guess and now we've sort of come full circle with Baldur's Gate 3, I suppose, where, it's this game with the polish, but then also, this is just what I've heard, but then still all these, like, possible avenues and things, as opposed to just combat, which is kind of what, I think what it kind of boiled down to. But then, to be fair, I was talking to my brother the other day, he was saying how he was really burnt out on Tears of the Kingdom, and that he just really craved that that old school, and I reckon they'll monetize on this, but they're just the really old school Zelda experience where there was very much a linear adventure to go on and really good dungeons. Just that classic kind of old school dungeon crawler, working your way up to beating the final boss type thing. I reckon they'll, I don't know, I think they'll come back to it. At least in some way. It might not be like the main Zelda title, but I think they'll... long before Radiant AI was a thing. Was that the Oblivion thing? NPCs had their daily routines and had their own needs and wants and stuff. Had generated quests and things, which were pretty shallow, but it made NPCs' communities feel alive in a way Morrowind feels dead and empty. Interesting. Maybe I should just give it a... I'm guessing you can pick it up on like £3 on sale or something, and then just like fart about in it. That's funny though, I don't know many people who are like, most people, it's kind of cool, isn't it, to be into Morrowind, but there's not many people who are like, Morrowind was cynical and, the graphics were, all they did was focus on the graphics, not like Daggerfall were. But, I think Daggerfall was maybe a bit, like what you're saying, a quantity over quality. And maybe Morrowind just found that good balance. But yeah, I just don't miss in games when they, I don't need every line to be voice acted, and it just feels like such a standard at the moment. Everyone expects everything to be voice acted, and I kind of like that storybook element of Morrowind, how you can kind of sit down and just talk to a character, and there's just so much written content. And again, it's like a book. I like imagining how they might sound and stuff, or what their tone is. Just like a book. That's fun. I think it can be fun in video games too. I'm so glad Tears of the Kingdom isn't linear because I'm rubbish at so many different things. I'm rubbish at so many different things at it that I already got into feeling blocked, even though there were still exploration options. I think I might have said this on stream, but I had this hunch that Tears of the Kingdom, everyone would be like, wow, but I think that there'll be this retrospective where people are like, oh, I miss that kind of clean, the sort of the openness and the mysteriousness of Breath of the Wild. Most things in Daggerfall were generated in the bits authored landmark content were few and far between. Right, I see. Morrowind being more or less entirely crafted by comparison. I see. Yeah. Elder Scrolls 6 though, am I right? Daggerfall's people feel more alive, but Morrowind's world is way more interesting to explore. Gotcha. It's not really the same sense of exploration as Breath of the Wild because you've seen most of it before. It is still beautiful though. I haven't even skimmed the surface of Breath of the Wild. I feel like I play it on my birthday every year since I got it in like 2018 and put it down and forget about it. And then on my birthday I'm like, I'll treat myself and I'll play a bit of Breath of the Wild. And I'm always like, when did I last play this? It's not good. Because I do enjoy playing it. But it is that kind of like, it's hard getting back into some games, isn't it? Because you're like, where was I? What was I doing? And then usually I'm just like, I'll play Breath of the Wild and then I'll just jump off a mountain and just see what happens. Which is, at least it's the kind of game you can do that. But I don't know, people would often tout like it's so great to explore, but sometimes I would be like, I'm just going to run in one direction and I'd end up in this like island in the middle of some river or something and there would just be nothing there. And I don't know, I thought... like there's this whole part of the world I remember just running around and there was nothing in it, and I'm sure it was because of delays and whatnot, but I don't know, I just thought maybe there'd be like a a cool sword or something just in a chest, just on a cliff. Maybe there was and I just missed it. Oh, they announced the Elder Scrolls 6 like when was it? It was ages ago. It was famously just like a oh, there you go. Yeah, 5 years ago. But it was just straight up a video of a town from a distance. Yeah, it was just this. Yeah, they just zoom in and there's like a... Whoa! 2018. It does feel like there's a different expectation about launch. I feel like they'd be games I'd enjoy looking for wildlife and interesting geography in. Wildlife is like, you know, when you're going from point A to point B, there might be a wolf or a stork, and like when they are there, it's kind of like, oh, cool, a stork or a fox. But beyond that, is kind of incidental. Yeah, I don't know about. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I don't think the Zelda games. Maybe the new one is. Again, I don't know much about Tears of the Kingdom. An interesting geography. It's a bit like it's a bit like Oblivion. It's not. It's more mountainous. There's interesting mountains and kind of. It feels quite natural, is what I like about Breath of the Wild. 16 times the details. What is that? Elder Scrolls 6. Can you catch dragonflies in Breath of the Wild? Maybe you can. Maybe I totally just missed that part of it. But I don't think it's quite like Animal Crossing where you're like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. ES6 is going to be 32 times the details. Do you mean just in like, you can look at a rock and it's like got 32 times the moss? Or do you mean like 32 times the locations to explore and stuff? Because I'm big fans of rocks and details on rocks. 32k textures for a fork. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Minimum. Whoa, look at this fork. Whoa. That's it right there. What else have they been working on? That's the thing. It's got to be forks. You can catch dragonflies and butterflies. Oh, okay. Maybe I knew that. I can't remember. I've caught lizards and things. There are lizards. I spent, actually, the last time I played Breath of the Wild, I was like, my goal is to get to Goron City, because I love Gorons, they're cool, and Goron City sounds like an absolute blast. And then I got there and it was like 4 huts and a rock. I just don't know. Like, I know there's limitations, but I don't know, it didn't feel like Goron City to me. I was a little bit put off. Like, population 4. There was a few, maybe there were 8 Gorons in Goron City. I really like the like just like fake it. Like the Zora City is like, there's just all these pathways that go absolutely nowhere, but it kind of feels like you're running around this sophisticated place. It kind of felt like a city in kind of a weird way, even though there's like very few buildings. I kind of don't even mind going into cities. Like, I haven't played much of it, but do you know, like in I mean, maybe RPGs are just good at this. What is 9 in Roman numerals? It doesn't matter. But like that starting place, you just get like this really like sense you're in a city. Oh, I don't know what I'm searching really. But even if there's like, yeah, just like pathways off and you just like see buildings, I don't know. IX, yeah, of course it is. Like, I don't mind when you're in a city, but it feels like you give people lots to do and explore, but there's like just visually, it feels like there's just a lot more even beyond that maybe you could go to, but there's just not actually a way to get to it. I kind of don't mind that. Made the mistake of making my update videos in Roman numerals. Why? I think I would get lost. I don't know, actually. Maybe up to 1,000? I don't know. What is... Hang on, 10... Do you just do X? Like, what's 50? Is that... Actually, I don't know. No, I'd get lost very quickly. I don't even know what... No, I do know what 11 is. It's 50L. Is it really? Oh, I had no idea about that. I thought it was going to be XXXX 5 times. They should do X5. That's what they should do. Bet they didn't think of that. I swear I've never seen L in my life. I've seen C, D, and M. I've never seen L. So what's 40? Is it XXX? X. X, 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 X. Or is it X? No, XIV is... No, so it can't be that. Is it XL? Oh, that makes so much sense. God, that makes so much sense. I reckon the Romans thought about it, actually. I think they gave it some thought. There's a bit of logic behind it. It makes as much sense as the rest of it does. I do like that they were just like, let's just, for some of them... Is it just because... So 30 is XXX, right? That has to be right, surely. You're too young to remember BBC copyright. I've seen... I've seen pictures of that. I have a little number... I have a little number to Roman numeral function. Oh, right. That's fun. Did you just copy and paste it from Stack Overflow, or...? You don't have to answer that. Oh boy. Yeah, I would just like. Do you think they actually got to a point where they were like, they could just look at MCML XXX and just know that that was 1980, just like in the same way we view. I don't know. Or do you think they had to just stop for a moment? It's simple enough that I could have written it. Oh, fair enough. I did that. There is some code where I'm just I wouldn't know. Stuff like I mean, I could probably do it. I'd do it in the worst way possible though. Like the code to figure out how many days have passed. Stuff like that. And then you don't have to have any stupid subtraction special casing. Okay. Yeah, I could kind of see that. This is looking kind of okay. Are you still seeing Mario? Oh no, I'm sorry. How long has that been up? I'm sorry, everyone. How long has that been up? Is that not since I talked about Mario Sunshine? Oh no. Or did I briefly put it up to talk about something else? I've just been sat here. Oh no. Has it really... It's not. Someone lie to me and tell me it's not been since, and then I'll be happy. Oh, okay. The T6 teaser. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, for better or for worse, the Garden Path, I mean, it uses absolutely no add-ons or anything, or, you know, Godot extensions or other people's work. It's pretty much, maybe to a fault. Because I know there is, like, existing dialogue. Dialogue tree stuff and UI stuff. And, Because I know the UI in Godot is it's got quite a sophisticated system, but I really wanted a UI that kind of floated around and felt sort of organic. And I couldn't really use Godot's UI system for that. What am I doing? Am I select? Ah, there we go. And I feel like 90% of the game's code is the UI system. That's not true at all, but it feels like it sometimes. Very, very bespoke and established over the years. It's just one of those things that, I don't know, I'd have to, if I ever got someone to work on it, I'd have to really sit them down and go over it. But it makes sense to me. I mean, I name everything pretty, I'm good with naming things. I may have said this on stream before, but I used to name everything in relation to the scene tree, as though it was a play. I think I might have talked about this before, just because it kind of made sense to me. And then Callum worked on the game, and he just had no idea, like, what's the director? What's the stagehand? I had a function called curtains up. I was like, what does this do? And it was silly, but it kind of made sense to me in my head. And now I think it's initiate play session, which is like, I think I've talked about this before, which is fine. And since then, I've just named everything as clinically and descriptive as I can. I like to generate most of my UI in the code at runtime, so I imagine it's probably not intuitive to most people who are familiar with doing UI stuff in Godot. And stagehand we've still got, which is the thing that, well, the stage, because when I used to do animation as a kid, I used to always call the layer which most things happened in the stage, and I think it is typical now though. Is it actually typical to call it a stage? It's kind of just the name of the node where everything kind of is in. Stagehand is the thing that kind of puts people up and puts them down and spawns things. So I think that I've kept that in because I think that makes sense, and I think calling it stage makes sense. Because I went down this rabbit hole of there's a good blog article called "And I Shall Call It ... Manager," which is when you're trying to name something, and essentially the gist is before you name something manager, you should just think about if there's a better word. Oh, is this what you're saying here? I remember chatting with someone who used to work at Insomniac, and she put a manager object into every scene of her project, which she called Mr. Manager. Start calling them. It's fun sometimes to do prints as though. I think before the game went public, I used to do a lot of prints in the log that were like as though the game was talking to you, and like it was, a bit like there's Star Trek, and everybody's, every single, function is not a function. Class is like some person in a room doing their job. People go nuts for it. Oh, fair enough. I've had people say the garden path logging is interesting, but I haven't yet understood why. Because it's really the only logging I've ever done. Someone said it was interesting and they might consider doing. You see an option to quit, the game looks sad. And we're going into that. It's that territory of, when something crashes and it goes, oopsie, there's been a crash. Yeah, some people hate that, don't they? I keep it a middle ground. I like to think anyway. I'm sure some people love it too. I used to love doing 404 pages for my website. I don't know. I think it occurred to me the other day I still haven't done one. No, I haven't. That would be fun. My first job at uni, I was given the responsibility for babysitting some code, which was built on top of a legacy file format and included the C variable declaration, struct unnecessary variable, please do not walk on the grass. Was that just like... I might not know about coding to get to understand the reference to that. My engine for text-based games and putting all the logging in my game's narrative style seemed to catch a lot of players' attention. I did contract work on a project and a while back, which had a bunch of C headers with comments at the top like, there is a special place in hell if you modify this file. There was it The Simpsons Hit and Run, the source code leaked or something, and there's just like there's variables which they've just added just pointlessly that's like effed equals true or something, you know, that they never actually used, but they just wrote out of frustration. Which, as far as I was able to ever able to determine, the please do not walk was just random stuff which popped into some predecessor's head. Fair enough. My understanding of Simpsons Hit and Run was just like completely held together by glue. You see an option to leave the game seems sad, but you leave anyway. It hurts. Its heart breaks just a little. You're too cute, Cheese. Mine just says thanks for playing. I'm rendering the heck out of this bookcase. The game's engines grinds to a halt due to something that... Oh, did you like randomize it so it's different? Tell me you didn't. Or are these just different examples? Oh, I see. Sorry, I didn't read to the end of it. On the other side of the world. Oh, you never know. They might have been straying. God, I wish the Garden Path printed something when it crashed. I feel like half the time it doesn't. Because I think it's something like if you know, a crash. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes most of the time it prints it. But I feel like quite often I think the game crashes before it gets a chance to print what's actually going on. Because I think it's pretty well. I don't know. Actually, to be fair. If that happens, it's usually some kind of, I don't know, some kind of engine issue or something like that. But sometimes the logs just end at some random point. It'll be like, it's hard as well too, because I get people testing the game and they'll be like, oh, you know, the game crashed when I picked a flower, and because so much of the game is happening all at the same time, they didn't realise that it might have been that Augustus like walked into a rock or something. Just happened to be exactly at the same time they picked a flower, and then the logs won't show that. And there's a really good job of indicating with the script. Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I kind of wish people who played the game could just build the game in Godot and run it through that. And the log gets it the log gets it most of the time. Not so great in builds, yeah. And also, there is no way for them to like email, even though it's in the settings, right? I was looking at this the other day. There's some kind of like, you can change the error message, but I don't think there's any way to like have the log emailed to you. You can edit the message. I don't know. Maybe it was just a planned feature or something. I'm not sure. But I'm still on 3.5. I would love that as a feature. Maybe it could just be far too crash handler. It could just be, I don't know. Obviously, I appreciate what the Godot devs do every day. These days, storefronts often have integrated cache reporting stuff. Oh, okay. Maybe I should look into that. I was in a meeting the other day and they were talking about integrating the game Stars with the Nintendo Switch. It was just a thing on an agenda with the Nintendo Switch achievement system, and my heart just like sank. I was like, oh, this sounds like it's going to be a real pain. And then we found out that the Nintendo Switch doesn't have a achievement system, and I was like, oh, I was just elated for the rest of the day. I'm sure it wouldn't be too bad, to be fair, but it's just one less thing on my plate. I would quite like to get it synced up to the Steam system, but again, I kind of like that the game doesn't use any add-ons, and I think it would probably need some kind of something. I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much. I still got to feel good about intrinsic rewards like achievements. Yeah, it's not something I'm into. I guess some people like them. They serve a purpose in the Garden Path, and it would be simple enough to, they're not just trophies. They, you link them up, and there's effects and things when you unlock them. So it makes sense to kind of use that system as the achievement system. But I don't know. But I've heard people like them. This is what I've been told. Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's one of the first game mechanics. I remember I was on a run and I was just like, I think it was exactly that. I was like, I hate achievements, but people like them. What would make me want to get achievements? And then I kind of envision this, because it's the stars and whatever and constellations. I thought that could work quite well. I think it's still not quite there. I really want to do like an animation where you unlock a star and it does like an animation where it draws the line. So, because at the moment it was too hard initially because you couldn't tell where the constellations were, and now it's a little bit too easy because it tells you exactly where they are. And I think I think it would be fun to like have an animation that shows like a constellation forming, but it would require. It's more complicated than it sounds, as typically is the case, because I would need basically a record of every single connection. Because at the moment it just lists the stars in a constellation, but I would need to actually, for the sake of drawing the constellation, because they can't just all connect, etc. If that makes any sense. If I implement achievements for my current project, I might make a few mutually exclusive ones in the hopes of encouraging players to compare and discuss their experiences about their preferences and achievements. Yeah, maybe that'll make people angry. Why do you think it would make them angry? I think the number one reason I would to put achievements in Steam is I'd be really interested to see what people are and aren't doing. It's a bit like how like only 10% of players have actually defeated the first boss in Elden Ring. I think it's often kind of illuminating like what content is actually getting accessed. I'd be interested in that. Done community-facing work on a bunch of projects where there have been belligerent achievement hunters. Oh, okay. I mean, I've got mates who, it's exactly that. You know, some people love achievements, and that's totally cool. I just don't get it myself. When I was talking to my brother when he was talking about Tears of the Kingdom, he was like, he just couldn't understand people who 100% games, because they're often not enjoying it, but it sort of becomes this, I don't know, this challenge, doesn't it, that you have to overcome. Yeah, it's getting there, isn't it? The rendering. I mean, shadows, you should be looking at. There we go. That's better. I feel like I could get super into speedrunning the first 10 levels of World of Warcraft Classic. I feel like I could do that. That's the only thing I could imagine doing over and over and over again, though. $100 hours in Firewatch. Are there that many paths? I've only played it the once. I kind of assumed it was very linear. That was kind of a cool game, though. Have they gone on to do anything else? It's quite linear. Okay. Existing in space, I think, is something. It's something. Valley of Gods. Oh, what am I doing? I want the Campo Santo. That's it. Valley of Gods. Oh, and they haven't released it yet. Oh, that's right. And they got yeah. I do remember. God, that was. When did they get bought? Into 2018. Again, 5 years ago. Most of them worked on Alex. Interesting. I was picturing there's another game with gods in the title where it's like a pixel game and you're like, I can't know what it's called now. I envision, and they're like stood around a fire. I can't think what it is. It's still their company. Valve just hired everybody. Oh, I see. Okay, that's funny. They were just like, well, the pay's good. Yeah. I think I know the game you mean. Gods, yeah. I don't think it did very well. That's just the first thing that popped into my mind. Gods Are Watching or something like that. The Gods Are Watching. I can't think. Gods Will Be Watching. Ooh, it could be that. I just remember it having a good title. I just like the title. Ooh, that's exactly it. There you go. And they're all stood around the fire. Ah, what happened to that game? what was it called? Swords and Sorcery or something? This was a cool game. Did they go on to do anything else? This was like, I remember playing this and being like, I have to get into game dev. This was the one. I remember just being like, I couldn't get over it. Is it Capybara? Below. Is this good? Mixed. That's a shame. Oh, 5 years ago. Man, everything happened in 2018, huh? I wonder why it's gone mixed. What are people saying? Incredibly tedious. Okay. Oh, that's a shame. Sword and Sorcery is the game that taught me that if you take breaks, things get absorbed, resonate differently. Was it one of those games that like it played with your save file, didn't it? I can't remember. New experiences can wash away past ones. There was something going on under the hood that probably wasn't quite as clever as it seemed. But I remember too much walking. Get out of here. Get out of here. Looks at your system clock and locks some contents to phases of the moon. Ah, that could be it. That's right, because you go to the login screen and like, it's different somehow. I never clocked that it was the moon. Yeah. I didn't realise it was that concrete. But actually, I won a competition. I won an animation competition when I was a kid. And I won an iPad, and that was like, I remember being like, I got to get like a cool game on an iPad, and that's what I played. Because I think it was on a tablet, wasn't it? So I kind of always associate the two. There's an achievement called Cheating Cheater that you get if you mess with the clock. I still don't have any, like, I don't have any kind of Mr. Rossetti thing going on in the Garden Path. I think I only played it after it got its Linux port. So it goes. But I think I remember having that, like, I'm going to play so many great games on the iPad, and I think that was basically the only decent one that I can remember anyway. I mean, there were a lot of cool games, you know, that you could, like, what was that game? Cover Orange? I remember playing loads of that. There was this game called Bumpy Road where you had to... I remember thinking that was really interesting. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, and you could like tap and make the road. Your guy was like driving and you could use your finger. I spent a lot of time in that. Just had a cool kind of like, I don't know. Professor Layton's sort of esque kooky visuals that I quite liked back then, 10 years ago. I was going to say, hang on, that said the release of Swords and Sorcery was 2012, but that must have been because I was... Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, okay, 2011. Okay. Sorry, just getting my timeline figured out. Humble Bundle around 2014. Ah, okay. I must have picked it up when it was pretty fresh then. 2012. Okay. God, Humble Bundle was an era, wasn't it? What a time to be alive. Had about 50 copies of Braid. Trying to find your mate who still didn't have Braid yet. I guess, yeah, early Humble's Ideals, I just don't know. Supposedly they did make money. I don't know how they did it. If it was possible, I guess someone else would be doing it. But I don't know, did they just make money through venture capital investments? Was it one of those? I remember reading an interview and they were like, "Ah, yes, of course we make money." But you know, I don't know. Was it all just through venture capital? It's possible. Because they really were giving away sometimes some quite beefy games. But I feel like that era of indie games is kind of missing too. It feels like it anyway. Unless I'm just out of the loop. Like, I almost can't think of games that would be in it if... maybe I'm just crazy. I'm like going on the Garden Paths page here now. Wait, am I on the right? Oh, I'm on the wrong browser. Oh, no worries. Like, yeah, I guess something like... Excuse me. These would probably... Yeah, something like this. I'm sure there are games. The first few Humble Bundles made significant money for the people involved, and it was only a little way down the track that they had investment stakeholders. Okay. Yeah. I just wouldn't have worked otherwise, I guess. Oh, I have to look it up now. Very first indie. First Humble Bundle. I'm just curious what was on it. There must be a way to know. Oh, it's such a long... First few bundles were existing titles that were toward the end of their life cycle. Oh, for sure. But then, even then, I don't think it was... I don't even think it was that far. Like, they were definitely a few years into it, but... Yeah, it was like World of Goo, Braid, those were like the classics, wasn't it? 2010. And Braid was 2008? 2009. So yeah, Braid and it, you know, yeah, I don't know, just feels like, and then World of Goo was maybe 2007? That was 2008, so a couple years. Yeah, 5 years old. I don't know. But then I'm sure the life cycle of games was different back then. Like, I couldn't, like, Stardew Valley's an example of a game that maybe, but I just can't imagine them, like, giving it away for, like, plus other games for, like, a $5 or something. I don't know. I just can't imagine that. And then you choosing how much goes to charity as well. Yeah, I guess that's true, yeah. People were paying more. I think I used to pay the minimum, but I was a, 2010, how old was I? I don't know, like, quick maths. Yes, 15. I can't remember what split I used to do either. I think it depended how much I liked the games. Oh, right, okay. So you had all the hard numbers. I think, yeah, it's just one of those things that I think there was excitement about it to begin with, but there was a novelty at least. And it maybe played its hand. Maybe do you think maybe it created a sense of less value for these titles? Oh, they were doing loads, weren't they? Are they just, and what are they now? Are they just a game store? Do they still have the subscription service? Pay what you want for Resident Evil. Oh man, could I totally just pick these up for... It's still going. Oh, was it IGN? I was trying to remember who it was. I remember the first time we did Quiplash, it was like the funniest thing ever. It was so funny, Jackbox. And then we slowly realised that none of us are actually that funny. It's like, it's famously the absolute killer of our friendship group. Just like, nobody wants to talk to each other after Jackbox because we're all just so disappointed in ourselves as to how unfunny we are. It's just everyone's in a bad mood because we all feel like we could have. You go into Quiplash thinking I'm gonna do some really good, some really funny, and then and everything's just like the same rehash jokes, and you're just like, oh. Oh, well, this bit at the bottom is still a little bit, but we do have a bookshelf. It's looking okay. I do still need to finish off this teapot. Although it's not far off, and it's going to be so small that I'm not too fussed. The shape of the top, yeah. I wish I could kind of get. Actually, the whole thing is kind of. The old one was really bad. I think this one's actually okay. One of the better things I've drawn on stream. I usually really fudge the perspective up, which is easy because there's 0 rules on this perspective for the game. Which is why I have this windmill and shed in the background. So I'm kind of imagine. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean, if I wasn't streaming, I probably would have got more done. But that's not the sole purpose of streams, eh? That's not why we do them. I want to do more streams where because usually when I'm working, I'll draw something like this and then I'll go away and I'll come back and then you'll see it with a fresh pair of eyes, and that's kind of how I prefer to work. I do a bit of bug testing or whatever, bug fixing, and then I'll go and do some art, and then I'll come back, and I think I just haven't kind of figured out a way to do that in a way that's sort of easy to stream. But I'll try and figure it out. I think it'd be fun to do a few more streams. Shifting headspaces, yeah. I just find, actually, I tell you what, I just can't bug fix for the life of me on stream. My brain just turns to mush, and I start panicking because I'm sat there thinking, and then I realise like people are watching me, and I'm just like, I'm sure it doesn't matter, and I'm sure that the time is less than it feels, but I don't know. Actually, I think I'll need to like... Oh, I only found out the other day that the latest version of Krita, you can actually... So, like, you used to have to... If I wanted to delete... Because this is made up of multiple layers, right? And if I wanted... And this is in its own... I don't know if you can see the... I'm just showing something completely inconsequential, I suppose, but... So it's in a group. And if it used to be, if I wanted to delete everything, you'd have to go into the group and you'd have to click on each individual layer and press delete. But now you can actually just click the group. I hope this works, and then just press delete. Boom, and it actually deletes it. Oh, that saves so much time, I tell you. So now if I want to separate out every single shelf, I can actually... I'll need to do that if I want to put things on it. It's going to save so much time, especially for like, how many shelves was this? Four shelves. You might have some thoughts. I was talking to someone the other day who wanted to find some coordinates for a given pixel in the image. How would you go about finding that? Best we could come up with was doing a rectangular selection for a given pixel. I'm not sure what you mean. Like, how are you defining the pixel? Like the color? This might be well beyond me. Or do you mean literally like... the pixel under the mouse cursor? Like to print the coordinate? I mean, you get a rough idea if you just add rulers, but and then you just like zoom in really hard. Is this on Krita or just like just with a file? So I could like put my cursor there, zoom in, and then I can read 293 by. I mean, I don't know. Is that GIMP has the pixel coordinators of the mouse cursor? Oh, does it really? Yeah, I don't know. It's nothing I've ever had to do, really. It's not come up. Working on backgrounds, wanted to know the location of coordinates for placing sprites. Oh, okay. Yeah, good question. No, I'm not sure. Yeah. Not something I've ever had to do. This works though, right? You could zoom in and... I mean, this literally gives you the pixels within pixels. And you can read the rulers. I don't know. For things like opening doors, etc. Sounds a little bit too... I feel like I would... reading the rules is a bit more clunky. Yeah, no, you're totally right. I guess I feel like I would, like, draw the... Is this, like, for pixel art? I'm trying to visualize the use case. I've never placed pixels... If I was, like, drawing a scene, I would just, like, just vibe it out, you know? And then the game can worry about where everything is. Ah, okay. I don't know how good Krita is for pixel art, I think is the trouble. Very low res, okay. It's not what I would instinctually go to for pixel art. It might be better than it was. Their art looks great. Fair enough then. I could be totally wrong. I'm trying to think, back in the day I would probably just go on Photoshop. I think Photoshop had a pencil tool and you would just like zoom in and click dots. Click squares and make them certain colours. Yeah, GIMP sounds like it might be a... yeah, just my gut telling me, but I haven't done pixel art stuff in a long time. Not in a long time. Probably since 2018. Could have been 2019. I did it for someone's student project. They actually hired me freelance to do artwork for it. It was quite fun actually. I was doing like exploding ships and things. I think it was like a classic. I wonder if I still have them. I'm sure I do. I've never really animated pixel art before though. And it was surprisingly fun. I thought it would be really annoying, but you kind of just let interpolation do most of the work. Do a tiny chicken. I'm not even sure. Is there a... Like could I do like 1 pixel? Does this work? No. Wait, does it work? Oh! Is there even an out-the-box tool that does it? I'd be surprised if there wasn't. Oh, maybe. No. Thrilling stream. Louis browses brushes. There's something like GIMP's pencil tool. Okay, I just guess I've just not found it. Oh, I'm doing 0.1 pixels. If I do like 1 pixel, yeah, it's not really what you want, is it? It's a brush type. I mean, this has a pencil on it. Ooh, still got the flow thingy going. Anyway. There's a pixel art brush category. Is there? Oh, you're right. Yo, okay. Yeah, okay. Boom. Sorry, I only did that. I wasn't trying to trump you. I'm sure yours was better. Just the first thing that came to mind. It's got nowhere for an eye. Cool. I probably am going to have to wrap up the stream. Oh, it's been a fun one though. Look how much smaller it is compared to our bookshelf. Could we sneak it into the bookshelf? Probably not. Micro chicken. Been a good one though. No GeoGuessr anymore. GeoGuessr days are behind us. How low reg could you make a chicken and have it readable? Oh, I'm gonna have to do this now. Wait, what? 3x2? That looks more like a duck. Does that look like a duck? I'm quite proud of that, actually. And what's that? That's 3x3. You can't do a chicken 3x2. You can't. Mine came out as a duck. It's not possible. It can't be done. What did I do my other chicken in? What's this technically? I have no idea. No idea. Go on, shoot me a link. How would you do it? Have you got me on Discord? Ah, darn. Darn. I don't know how to allow that, sorry. I'm actually trying to remember what a chicken looks like. You want to go rooster, don't you? That's a duck. Ooh, bit of interpolation there. What does this tool do? Whoa! Oh, that's cool. There's like a checkerboard. I wonder what you could use that for. That'd be fun to do, like a I don't know, you could do something with that, couldn't you? I feel like you could do some kind of, I don't know. Like you could create... And then could you like, you could like shade the... And it would be all kind of... What's the name of that artist? And this one? I'm guessing this one's just a big... Yeah. Okay. Shame the link didn't work. Are we okay to see it another time, baby? I am curious. Oh, cool. Yeah. No. I think like can I bring this up? I just closed my browser. Oh well, there you go. It's on my Firefox. That's okay. Oh, I've lost it now. Where was I? I feel like kind of in like a Dwarf Fortress thing. This would be cool. Like it definitely with context. I feel like it's perfect. But no, that's cool though. Good little challenge. It'd be fun to do like a game that's like all like this, like a, you know, not like Dwarf Fortress where everything is symbols, but this one's got a big head. Okay. Again, less time on graphics, more time on yeah, make it Daggerfall sized. That's what I say. Right, that's me done, I think. Thanks, Cheese, for sticking with me. And thanks everyone else who stopped by. Thanks for saying hi, for joining the stream. It's been a good one. I'll go back to the bookshelf because that was the fruits of my labour. And yeah, hopefully in 2 weeks Fern will be not on the mend, at the end of the mend, and we'll do another chatty stream. And who knows, maybe I'll do something in the meantime. But yeah. And then yeah, if anyone's interested, at FromCarrotCake on Twitter or whatever it is now, who knows, x.com, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and then the Discord as well, which, am I signed in? Boom. Oh no. Hang on, I'm in the... Oh, there you go. Sparrow beat me to it. As per. Yeah, and the Discord as well. We're just chatting stuff. Alex is alas no longer with us. And I only found out a few days before Alex's last day. But I don't know if Jenny's been on the stream, but new person heading the Discord, Jenny, will be posting the community questions and whatnot, hopefully filling the Alex-shaped void that we found ourselves with. But fingers crossed for Alex in a new job. But yeah, probably an art stream in 2 weeks' time. And oh, I still don't have an end screen for my Just Louis setup. So hey ho. I'm just gonna go to the BRB screen. And we'll call it that. Alright, nice one. Cheers everyone, thanks so much for watching again. Take care, have a good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you might be. And I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, bye bye. And I'm not back soon. I'm gone now.